Do you struggle to get your child to practice guitar? It's a very, very common problem, more so than you believe, actually. For most parents, it's a real effort to try and get their child just to sit down and practice the guitar. Often people will just be sort of pulling their hairs out going, look, I have no idea how to make him do this. I don't get it. He says he wants to play guitar, but he won't sit down and practice and put the effort in. I don't know what to do. If that's you, this video is for you. I'm going to give you a couple of little tips that are going to make it much, much easier for you to get your child to practice. Now, the first tip is very, very simple. You can see I've got this lovely 335 copy here, and it's right next to me. It is very accessible, and the key word is accessible. I can just reach out and literally grab that like that, okay? Now, that's like that for a reason. I actually have another guitar just over there. The idea is it's easy to access. It's really easy for me to just reach out, grab it, and start playing. That is the first and most important thing. Do not keep that guitar on a shelf. Do not put it up somewhere where you can't get it. Don't put it in another room where your child is not likely to go. You want to keep it nice and accessible at all times so that when it's time to practice guitar, they can just reach out and grab it. It's really, really crucial. Tip number 2 is leading on from that. You want a very specific time for your child to sit down. You want to timetable it out so they know exactly when they have to sit down and play guitar. Now, I'll be honest with you, when you start doing this, it'll be tough to get them to practice. You know, they're not going to want to practice because most kids don't want to practice. But if you take the time to develop a timetable, and there's a few different times you can do it, what will happen is eventually your child will become used to the fact that, you know, it's important to practice guitar at this point right now, and I'm going to have to put everything down, and that's what we're going to focus on, okay? Now, some good times that I would recommend for most kids is maybe, you know, just after school, or maybe around 4:30 after school when they've had a chance to come home, you know, they've had a chance to sort of just sit down, chill out, maybe have something to eat to get the willpower back up. And then the alarm goes off, and I do recommend setting an alarm. That's very important. And they know it's time to practice then, okay? Now, over the long term, this will go a long way in developing the habit, because guitar is a habit, of them practicing guitar. Now, the third thing is make sure they're learning from a structured method. Your child may be using YouTube right now to, you know, look up guitar videos and that sort of thing. And that's great. You can get a lot of value out of that. You can really learn a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, though, for most people, it's a bit like going through a jigsaw puzzle and not knowing whether or not the pieces of the puzzle are actually the same puzzle, right? You're going through all these different things. It's like, oh, here's a chord, but there's another chord with different symbols after it. And this guy says I need to use a metronome, and this person says I need to tune it, and this one says steel strings are better, and this one says acoustics. Like, it's a whole just miasma of different stuff that you can get lost in it, okay? That's why it's easier for most people just to work their way through a method, especially for a child. Children like things to be simple, right? They like routine, they like structure. So what you want to do is find a method that's going to work for you and take them through that. Now, as it happens, who would have guessed it, we actually have such a method. It's called the G4 guitar method. We have worked on it for more than 30 years. It's taught around the world in many, many countries and states. It's been tested rigorously over a really long period of time. We've taught literally tens of thousands of students throughout the lifespan of this course. So look, it really has a really strong track record behind it. Now, look, if you are interested in your child going through that and seeing how it works, we actually offer a free trial class down here. So it's totally free. There's no obligation to join to continue on after you've done that free class. But look, if you want to do that and you are interested, it's just a button around here. It's probably be around my head somewhere. You can click that. It'll take you to Calendly, which is a website where you can put in your details, and then you can join the class at the specified time there. And that'll be a lesson with me or maybe with one of my colleagues as well. So look, I hope those tips have been really helpful. We do this all the time, and honestly, it's the first thing I recommend, those 3 things, just to make sure that kids are getting the best chance at doing it. So those 3 things are keeping the guitar accessible, setting up a specific routine, and using a structured method. If you're interested in learning with us or going further and seeing what we have to offer, we actually do an extended course as well, but there's no obligation to try that. If you are interested in that free lesson there, just click that button. And yeah, I hope to see you there in class.